Best fantasy TV shows that you definitely should be watching. When people think of great television, they think of dramas, procedurals, comedies, and science fiction, but not fantasy. No, fantasy is seen as the genre reserved for the nerds and the geeks, the people who cosplay at comic book conventions. But what many people get wrong is that fantasy doesn't just apply to stories with magic and dragons. Sure, those aspects are a large part of the genre, but above all, fantasy represents the purest form of escapism. And isn't that what entertainment is all about? If you are a big fan of sci-fi shows, you would also enjoy these best fantasy TV series. Welcome to DLP Movie, and let's count down our top 10 best fantasy TV shows that you definitely should be watching. Merlin. Merlin is a reimagining of legend in which the future King Arthur and Merlin are young contemporaries. Arthur's father Uther Pendragon has banned magic in Camelot, its use punishable by death, forcing Merlin to keep his magical power secret from everyone in Camelot other than his mentor Gaius. Arthur goes from a young, self-absorbed boy to the mighty king in the legends, and Merlin develops into his colossal role in creating the powerful Camelot. Following on in the BBC's rich vein of mythical historical adventures, in Merlin we have another entertaining, fast-paced, family thriller, sure to please countless people of all ages and backgrounds. Merlin follows a simple but effective structure often found in its genre, with Merlin as the unsung hero often struggling to keep his magical talents and work secret. Add to the mix some romantic plot lines that never quite seem to materialize, and the constant threat of friends and enemies to the kingdom, occasionally intertwined with some harsh prophecy, and the result is a 5-star exciting, fun adventure. The 100.
We have no idea what is waiting for you down there.
It's so beautiful. The planet's simmering in radiation.
You know they've landed, but communications are down.
These wristbands are all we...
After the Earth was destroyed by a nuclear war, the remaining people put together a giant space station called the Ark into space to survive. Then after 97 years of living in space, the Council sends the 100 juvenile prisoners down to Earth. Once they arrive, they are quick to set a no-law system of government. The 100 realize they are not the only ones on Earth, and they quickly adapt to their new home. This storyline moves around like lightning. The characters go on believable arcs which deliver amazing transformations in some cases. It's highly original and creates some fascinating dynamics between characters which you don't see anywhere else. Firefly. The show explores the lives of a group of people who fought on the losing side of a civil war and others who now make a living on the fringe of society as part of the pioneer culture that exists on the fringes of their star system. In this future, the only two surviving superpowers, the United States and China, fuse to form the central federal government, called the Alliance, resulting in the fusion of the two cultures. According to Whedon's vision, nothing will change in the future. Technology will advance, but we will still have the same political, moral, and ethical problems as today. The special effects are seamlessly integrated and beautifully detailed. The manner in which the show was presented, the handheld cameras, the use of zooms, and the occasional off-focus effect was very intriguing, giving it a look of a show that was real and gritty, something that really caught your attention, but didn't distract you from what was being presented.
What is it that makes it so
It made you feel like you were really there, like it was believable.
Is that why you let us stay? So you could use us as...
GRIMM. A supernatural crime drama involving a police detective who can see the dual nature of creatures among us hiding in human form. As the descendant of the Grimms, he can see their inner natures. He also has the responsibility of being judge, jury, and sometimes executioner for crimes among these others for which there are no human laws that apply.
This is no fairy tale. The stories are real. What they wrote about really happened.
The show has been described as a cop drama with a twist. a dark and fantastical project about a world in which characters inspired by Grimm's fairy tales exist, although the stories and characters inspiring the show are also drawn from other sources. This series started out as a great storyteller. Great characters around a monster of the week, tucked away in the haunted forests of Portland. The formula of creepies and crawlies with a sense of humor to tie it all together worked. Once Upon a Time. With a simple, yet unique premise of storybook characters being cursed by the evil queen, and ripped from their world to a land without magic, Once Upon a Time has done the seemingly impossible, bring fairy tale characters to life on the small screen.
My happy ending. Believing in even the possibility of a happy ending is a very powerful thing.
He doesn't know
that he's a fairy tale character.
None of them do. They don't remember who they are.
Everything we love will be ripped from us while we suffer for all eternity. No more happy endings.
It all began with a small town in Maine called Storybrooke, but now, 5 seasons in, audiences have traveled to Oz, Camelot, Wonderland, Neverland, and more. Several Hollywood studios, not just Disney, are currently engaged in a new trend of adapting fairy tale characters and stories into live-action movies. But the thing is, Once Upon a Time has already mastered that, and the series is showing no indications of stopping anytime soon. The Flash. 9 months after the particle accelerator explosion, Barry Allen wakes up from his coma and discovers that the explosion gave him the power of super speed. Others were affected and gained new abilities as well. However, not all of them use it for good. With Barry's new powers and team of scientists, he becomes the Flash, and helps fight crime and protect Central City. There are moments where the Flash feels tied down in flashbacks. There are pockets overacting and cheesy dialogue, but those are easily overlooked for the sake of establishing necessary emotional connections in 45 minutes of showtime. Doctor Who. The Doctor is a mysterious time traveler from a distant planet. He travels through time and space in the TARDIS, time and relative dimensions in space. The TARDIS is disguised as a 1960s London police box which is larger on the inside than on the outside. His adventures take him through time and space to other planets and galaxies, and any period of time within the history of these planets and galaxies. He has a fondness for Earth and its inhabitants and has visited there many times at various stages in its history. His main aim is to fight evil and oppression wherever he finds it.
The Doctor will see you now!
He is usually aided and sometimes hindered in this quest by 1 or 2 traveling companions he picks up at various points in his adventures. His greatest foes have been the Daleks, the Cybermen, and an evil opposite from his own race called the Master. Supernatural.
That sound right to you?
Instead of concluding the series after its 5th season, as creator Eric Kripke had originally planned, Supernatural acquired a new showrunner, shifted in scope, yet remained faithful to its premise. 6 straight seasons later, it's gearing up for an unprecedented 12th season. Supernatural is not only the longest-running fantasy series in television history, but it's also the CW's longest-running series, which is primarily because it's the last remaining series left over from when the network used to be the WB, starring Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles as brothers Sam and Dean Winchester, respectively. Supernatural is a modern western, which focuses on the Winchester brothers exorcising supernatural forces from America, to put it vaguely. Throughout its 11 seasons, the Winchesters, along with some of their friends and family, have battled the devil, the king of hell, angels, and vampires, any and all creatures you can think of. The only thing Supernatural hasn't been able to do is spawn a successful live-action spin-off series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The series narrative follows Buffy Summers, the latest in a line of young women known as Vampire Slayers, or simply Slayers. In the story, Slayers are called, chosen by fate, to battle against vampires, demons, and other forces of darkness. Like previous Slayers, Buffy is aided by a Watcher, who guides, teaches and trains her. Unlike her predecessors, Buffy surrounds herself with a circle of loyal friends who become known as a Scooby Gang, created by Joss Whedon, and based on the Whedon scripted movie of the same name. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of the greatest shows to grace the small screen.
If she can just get rid of those other guys in her life. Stab him in the heart!
Christy Swanson.
I am so sure.
Casual audiences who would mistakenly view Buffy as being a teen drama would miss out on an epic fantasy tale of Slayers battling supernatural forces, like vampires and demons. Game of Thrones. While there are plenty of groundbreaking fantasy novels, there have been little to no groundbreaking fantasy TV shows. Sci-fi has been the genre dominating on that front. Sure, there are some great fantasy shows, of which many are mentioned on this list, but HBO's Game of Thrones, based on George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, and adapted for television by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, is the only series of its kind to not only alter the television landscape, but also open the door of the fantasy genre to casual audiences.
I'm you, the hand of the king. You helped me win the Iron Throne, now help me keep the damn thing.
I have no choice.
That's what you tell your families. Tell yourselves. That's what men always say when honor calls.
No show has been able to do that before. With its politics, its dragons, and its overall gruesomeness, Game of Thrones is truly in a caliber of its own. Massive in scale, yet precise in detail, Game of Thrones has transcended the fantasy genre, and will go down in history as one of the greatest television shows ever created. What is your favorite movie from the list? Let us know below and do not forget to subscribe.